Hey y'all, welcome to the Suburban Stitcher podcast. My name is Diane and today is, I was about to say January. That feels awesome and disgusting all at the same time. Today is March 15th, the Ides of March, 2019. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have not been with you in about 2.5 weeks, which means that my streak is broken. I was going every week for the first 2 months of this year, and now we are with a little bit of a break, and I do apologize, but life and busy show and event and all of the things have started, and that means that there has been a little bit less time for podcasting, and all of the time has been going to actually making yarn. So hopefully that is a good thing for you, and you will forgive my absence. I am going to be drinking a little bit of coffee throughout this because it is early in the morning, and I require caffeine. So if you can bear with me with a little bit of hopefully not too bad sipping, I'm so excited to chat with you today. I feel like this is an appropriate mug. I'm drinking out of my mug from the Modern Skein in Montgomery, Texas, which is where I was last weekend. I feel like my works in progress and my knitting and Hello Lovelies and all of this episode is basically going to be one giant stream of consciousness right back in your face of all of the events that I've been to in the last couple of weeks. So let's get started. The things that I have been knitting, I have pretty much focused on 2 things, and then in the last, I don't know, y'all, I don't know what to do with my hair. I have to interrupt my own self. My hair is a little bit crazy. We'll talk about what I'm wearing in a minute. But okay, my hair's crazy. That's all I wanted to say. I slept on it wet, which is why there's this like perma kink. Anyway, okay, knitting. So a couple of weeks ago, I started a top, and you'll remember I have been knitting fairly monogamously over the last, I don't know how long. And I think even the last episode, I said I really want to finish a shawl before I allow myself to cast anything on. I had finished my party top, which you can see right there. I will talk a little bit about that in a minute, but this is going to be a crazy one, you guys. I can already tell my brain is not logically finding the connections. Anyway, so I said I want to finish a shawl because I have finished 2 sweaters. I've got some beautiful shawls on the needles that are, some of which are quite close to being finished. I need to finish one up before I start something new. That lasted about 2 days. And then I was like, nope, I need to cast something new on. So I cast something new on. I started the Panjeera top that I have been talking about. And this is by Christina Dene, who is Christina with Wolves, or Xtina with Wolves on Instagram. It's a really pretty cropped short sleeve top with some color work accents at the top and bottom. The reason that I cast this on is because 1, I want to own it. 2, I had a day where I knew that I was basically going to be waiting in a lot of lines and a lot of sitting. It was the Friday before I left for the Hill Country Yarn Crawl, or not Yarn Crawl, Hill Country Weavers Retreat at Horseshoe Bay Resort. And I knew, so it was a Friday, and I knew that I had to get an oil change, and I had a hair appointment, and all of these like sitting for long periods of time. Well, this top is bottom up, and it is an I-cord cast on, which is easy but super tedious, right? So I thought that would be the perfect, I can't go anywhere, I can't do anything else except for sit here and knit. So it didn't matter what I was knitting, didn't matter if it was boring, because it was the only thing I had to work on. So I was forced to make progress on it, and it worked. I got maybe 3/4 of that cast on done, and then came home, finished up the, like, counted up, finished up the rest, and then it was done. It was cast on. So let's talk a little bit about it. First of all, the yarn that I'm using is my hand-dyed yarn. And, ooh, this is a little bit, it's a little bit crazy. Got some yarn vomit here coming out of the middle. So I'm using Curry, which is a golden yellow with some speckles. And, well, it's kind of golden, but it's also kind of mustardy in spots, and also sunny. It's just a really, like, good yellow, I think. And then I'm also using Bang Bang, which is like electric peach, I guess. It's kind of a good description of that. Sure, electric peach. So here it is together. What I will say that I knew going into it, and I think I'm still fine with it, is these colors look very different when you're staring at them like this. But if you do the black and white trick on your camera, where you go to mono on the camera setting and look at, like, the color saturation level, they're basically the exact same color. So I knew that the contrast when knitting this color work would not necessarily be the highest level of contrast, but I kind of don't care. I just like this combination. So again, you can see, like, the color work totally doesn't, like, blow you away with the contrast, but I think it's really pretty, and I like the colors together. I like the gold I-cord cast on. Let's see if I can get it any closer, if you can see. So you can sort of see that there's some swooping action there, but I mean, the camera is trying really hard to distinguish those colors, and they just aren't different enough, and that's fine. It probably will be one of those things where I did a whole lot of work for not a lot of show off in how it looks, but I'm okay with it. I had a discussion with some of my friends about I-cord cast-ons, and they were saying that they do it a different way. They basically provisionally cast something on and then go back at the end and do an I-cord bind off so that it's tighter. And that certainly is something you can do. I do not find that I am too loose with the I-cord cast on. And when we were talking about where we mean too loose, I don't mean the actual I-cord itself, like the I-cord itself is fine. We mean this first stitch where you go from knitting the I-cord here to where it starts, like, goes from knitting horizontally to vertically. And it's like that first stitch is a little bit too loose. And so that is the reason that they were saying they do the other method, like the provisional cast on and then do an I-cord bind off instead. But what I find, and I've done this on several projects, I knit through the back loop on that first row, and mine aren't too loose to begin with, but that knitting through the back loop that you really cannot see just gives it just enough of a little snug up that the stitches look exactly the same as the ones above it. And it is, I don't think you can tell at all. So, yeah. So I also am a pretty, I would say, normal to snug knitter. Would not consider myself a loose knitter. I would say normal, average to more on the tight end than the loose end. So anyway, so this one actually has not seen too much attention in the last couple of weeks because I'm on the color work. It is not very portable, and it's also hard to tell the difference like at night for night knitting. And right now, most of my knitting is coming when I'm sitting in bed in the dark. So this is not a nighttime knitting project, but it is beautiful. And this is in my fringe supply bag, and it has my brand new Hill Country Weavers button on it that I got. All right, nope, that's right. H and C can go either way. So there it is, Hill Country Weavers. It's this cute, like almost quilt square pin. It wants to go sideways. For some reason, this is the heavier side. I don't know why that's happening. Anyway, there you go. So that was a gift from the staff for me at Hill Country Retreat. That was really nice of them. The second project that I have done, my dog, I think, opened my door. I'm sure. The second project that I have done some work on is another sweater, another colorwork sweater, and it is another test knit. I am testing a sweater for Olga of the Handmade Closet. She's Handmade Closet on Instagram. I think that is also her design name. And the sweater that I'm knitting is called Fiora. I believe that maybe last episode or the one before, sometime in February, I showed the yarn that I was using. I am using my hand-dyed yarn to knit this in two colors, in Demure, which is a very pale pink, kind of pale mauve-y pink. And then I am using Lanyap, which is a medium to dark, highly speckled pink. So here they are together. I love this combination so much. Lanyap right now is, I mean, I love predictability. I love, like, this is very, like, this is predictability and happy accident. Those two colors right now just have my heart. But I feel like, especially going into summer, this color, Lanyap, really speaks to me. This is the color that I used in my time trade shawl. And if you bought one of the kits that I curated with my yarn for time trades, then this is the dark speckle in the kit. So let's look at the sweater. First of all, here's the picture. It's called a Fiora sweater. The reason that I loved this, and this is, it's still in testing. When she sent us the file, she obviously had not finished it. That is different now, but this is the color work, and it is so intricate and, like, I want to say like Gothic and Victorian, and it reminds me of some of the really beautiful kind of brocade cross stitching or something. Like, I just love it so much. It feels very different than some of the other really popular kind of larger motif color work things that are out there. And then also, because this is done in fingering weight, you can get so much more detail because your stitches are smaller, which is so much more work, of course, but it is, I feel like the effect is amazing, obviously. So here it is so far. I am absolutely in love, like in love. It's doing exactly what I hoped it would do, which is have a variegated color for the color work, but yet still able to see it, because it is definitely darker than the main body. So I am maybe 1/4 of the way through the color work chart, and it's going swimmingly. She has put in short rows into the back, so you can see that this is the front of the sweater. The back has much more solid pink here, so that's great for neck shaping and shoulder shaping. I am knitting this on the prescribed needles, so that I think it's a size 4 for the body, size 2 for the neck band, the ribbing. I am knitting, she has sizes 1 through 9, and I am knitting exactly in the middle, size 5. The finished bust circumference is recommended 6 to 8 inches of positive ease, and so I am knitting the 46.75 finished bust size, which for me is right at that 6 to 8 inches of positive ease, depending on the day and the time of the month, depending on how much bloat I have in my body, as we all fluctuate, I'm sure. So that's really all I have to say about that. I just love it so much. Like I said, I think my most favorite thing is that it just feels very different than some of the other colorwork things. Like, it feels very lacy and gothic and feminine, which I love. So this is the Fiora sweater by Olga of Handmade Closet. And this has been winging its way around town with me in my Plystra bag, which I used for my party top. And now this is the second project that I have used it with, and I love it. I was watching Sandy by the lakeside the other day, and she got a couple of Plystra items, and she said she Scotch guarded them, and I'm thinking about doing that. I wonder if that would give it a little more sturdiness, because it is quite, at least this bag, or the backpacks may have more stability because of all of the, like the, I guess the straps and things that are sewn that go like this way. This just is kind of floppy, but also it would just protect the fabric. How I end up using it is I end up folding over this top, and then this can just sort of sit down like a bucket next to me on the floor or the table or the chair or wherever, and it works just fine. So, and it pretty much just lives like this in my house, because right now this is not traveling because it's color work. So because of that, I had to pull out a new old project, because I had to, because color work isn't travel-ish for me right now. Okay, so that project that I pulled out is, so last weekend when I was at the Modern Skein, I did a lot of talking, of course, with the yarn store owner, Sharon. She and her husband kindly let me stay at their house since I was there for 2 days, which was so generous and amazing that they weren't sick of me. And they were just the most amazing hosts anyone could ask for. Sharon is knitting a What the Fade. And longtime viewers of the podcast will know that I cast on a What the Fade when it was a mystery knit along out of hedgehog fibers, and I kind of love it again. Like, I mean, I've loved it the whole time, but I rediscovered it. So I pulled this out. I think I've only knit 4 rows since I pulled it back out of hibernation. The rows are just so dang long, y'all, as you know, if you've knit it. But it is perfect brainless knitting for at night when you don't have to see or think about anything. So I don't know that I'm going to remember all of the colors, but they are all listed, or I think maybe they're not all listed. Most of them are listed on my Ravelry page. Starting at this darkish one is Oracle. Then it fades into an exclusive several years ago Jimmy Bean's wool color called Little Women. And then it fades into another club color from several years ago that's on my Ravelry page. I can't remember. And I don't know if all the tags are in here. Some of them are. Little Women. Yeah, 2 out of how many tags? 2 out of 6. So there you go. It's a light gray. I don't remember. It's not juniper because that's a real color. It's got some sort of like flower name or something, but it's the one that I'm fading in right now. And then on the back, I have the lightest color here is Crybaby. Then it goes into Bee's Knees, and then it goes into Banana Legs. And you can see, sorry. So I'm in the garter fade. There's Banana Legs. Bee's Knees is this more like speckledy yellow. Multicolored speckle is Crybaby, and then I'm fading into whichever one this is. It's a flower name. I can't remember. That's going to drive me crazy. And I'm almost done with that fade. And then I will be done totally with the third color, which is Crybaby. So then I'll be totally done with all of the yellow side colors. And I will just be working into the dark side colors. So it's like yellow to gray to black, the shawl, which is not a very like common or logical colorway for me, color set, but I really like it. So I worked on that, and I think that might sit by my bed at least for a little while until I get tired of it and be my nighttime knitting. Okay, so let's talk Hello Lovelies, shall we? I have so many things to show you. It's kind of ridiculous. I've got to put all these knitting patterns, pulled all the knitting patterns out, and they were just sitting in a pile. They've got to go back in the project bags. Okay, so Hill Country Retreat. I purchased 2 current knitting magazines, Pom Pom and Lina 7. Pom Pom, I'm very excited about. It opened right to it because I've stared at it a bunch. I'm very excited about this pattern. It is a shirt top. It's knit out of Quince & Company in a yarn base that I already own in the exact sweater quantity that I need. It's called Ginkafite by Emily Green. I'm so excited about it. The other thing that I would like to say about this magazine, this episode, this issue, is that I got the chance to meet at the Hill Country Retreat the designer for this hat. It's called Sweet Fern. And the designer that I met is Kate Madden. She is so stinking cute. We had this like mutual, like, yes, I see you over good hair days and light pale pinks and peach single ply yarn. So Kate, if you're watching, single ply pale pinks forever. So that was really fun and really exciting. And the other sweater that I absolutely love in here is called Woodwardia by Lydia Gluck. It's the cover sweater, and it's so beautiful. In Lina, I mean, there are so many things that call my name in this issue. But in particular, I really love, where's that cowl? I think this is it. Yeah, the Tala cowl. It's a color work that's, I don't know that there's going to be a better picture. But it's by Dami Hunter, who is Magpie Yarns. I love this sweater by, is it Naria? It is by Larka. I'm not gonna say the name correctly, but she's she has a podcast and she just had a baby, and why can I not think of her name? Anyway, it's a sweater that has beautiful details. And then there is this absolutely gorgeous wrap in here that is like take your breath away stunning in the color and in really like the simple architecturalness of it. It is by Ale, who is Hohi's amazingly talented friend, dyer behind Pura Helados yarn, and Alejandra Pont, and it is the Ramblia, or Ramblia if you're from Texas, but Ramblia. It is this big, huge, oversized wrap, but the details of it are so amazing. I just love it. I love it. And then, of course, the color they chose is amazing. It's like this bright orchid purple. So many, as usual, so many exciting things in those two magazines. I did a little yarn swap with Dawn of Chasing Rabbits, who is so talented. I feel like she and I have very similar color aesthetics. So we did a little yarn trade, and honestly, I cannot remember what she chose. It was yarn and a mohair, and so I chose yarn and a mohair. This color I stared at all weekend. It's called it's on her Gossamer Lace. The color is Rosebud, and it's stunning. And I picked up a skein of her Aran weight. It's a heavy worsted to Aran 4-ply. This is her Spanish Moss colorway, which is this gray tonal, which I thought was so fun considering my Spanish Moss is this. Isn't that fun? Like just different inspirations and different colors. Anyway, but I thought this would make a really fun experiment to hold these two together to make a hat of some sort and see what color emerges. So that is something that I will be doing soon. I say that, I'll be doing it sometime. And then she also gifted me the Show Color skein. This was exclusive for the retreat. And this is called Knitting in the Hills 2019 on her solo single ply merino base. It's so soft and squishy. I went to a local yarn store in town and picked up some yarn sort of as an experiment, a couple of things. This is a very, I would say, heavy lace to light fingering. It's like this metallic-y yarn, but it's soft. I don't know how to describe it. It's Katia Air Luxe. It is pretty sticky, like it wants to pull and stick to itself. It says that the content is 70% viscose and 30% virgin wool. So again, it's a little bit sticky, but I want to hold this like with a skein of DK and see kind of what effect it gives. I'm really into marling and holding, like, the idea of making new colors and new textures by holding more than one skein together. So this is Katia Air Luxe. And then I also purchased these two skeins. This is Queensland Collection Perth yarn, and they're in these like long gradients. And I think that these might be two of my colors or something. I'm not exactly sure. But it's going to be like a shift something. So whether it's part of a shifty sweater or whether it's a shift cowl just in two colors, I'm not exactly sure. But I thought this would be a really fun way to use a commercial yarn in a way that is really popular for something, you know, with a much higher price point. So spin cycle, depending, I think pretty much most places sell, and no matter which skein you're buying, whether it's the Dream State or the dyed in the wool, which is the sport weight. So whether you're buying worsted weight or sport weight, pretty much I feel like the skeins are anywhere from like $32 to $35 a piece, depending on the shop. And this, and they're, let's say the sport weight is 150 yards, I want to say. It's not very much. I don't have it here. But this is a fingering weight, would be closer to, this is 437 yards, and it was $16. So over twice as much for half the price, which I think is pretty great. So, I mean, I have bought lots of Spin Cycle and I love it, and it's absolutely worth the money. But I also wanted to experiment the same techniques with a different price point. And the colors on these, oh, this is again, Queensland Collection Perth. It is an 80/20 yarn, merino nylon, and, or wool nylon, not merino, wool nylon. And this color is Alice Springs, and this more purple color is Tasmanian Bay. So that will be fun experimenting. So now we're going to talk about last weekend at the Modern Skein, because that's where I found myself in a bit of trouble. There's an entire bag. I do want to point out that this I got last weekend. I was actually gifted this by Sharon, and it is an exclusive color for her shop. It is not navy, but it's like a royal blue that's a little bit darker, like a dark denim. I would probably say that's right, because it's definitely not navy. And she had a test of a navy one, but she felt like it was too dark. And I agree. If it was darker than this, then it would be too dark. But so I got this ruler to add to my collection, so I love it. Oh my gosh, you guys, there's so much pretty yarn. This I'll be able to show you next week, I think. Oops, sorry, shaking. I just totally kicked that thing. Okay, so let's start off with okay, so Sharon went to Vogue Knitting Live in January and picked up a couple of things for me. I paid for it. These were not gifts. I picked up, I'm going to open this, so there's going to be crinkling. Haven't even opened it yet. Okay, so, oh my gosh, I love this. the Sandy by the Lakeside with the denim and the fun like pops of bright colors in the linen or in the fabric. It's so beautiful. Ah, I love it so much. So I got that, and then she gifted me this that she purchased. Sweater Weather Forever. And those are little stitch markers on the bottom that you can take on and off. So I'm going to have to find the perfect bag or something. This may actually, because I don't want to lose any of the things, this may just go into the collection at home. So thank you, Sharon. That was so sweet. Okay, what else did I get from the Modern Skein? Her husband, Josh of Red Stag Fiber, gifted me this skein. This is an Aran weight, 4-ply, I think. It's called Old Town, and it's the Modern Skein first anniversary color. It's on the Estate Aran 100% superwash merino wool. And I wonder if it's the same as this. It's close, maybe. Huh. That's pretty cool. Didn't even realize that. Yeah. So this is Red Stag Fiber. Is their house blend yarn. Her husband is the dyer. And this is called Old Town. Very pretty. Thank you. She gave me this little, what does this say? This bag belongs to a knitter from the Modern Skein. This little tag, and then she wrote my name on the back. So cute. I had to pick up a needle while I was there. And then I got these two, which are, hold on, let's see. So it's the first anniversary enamel pin right here for their birthday, and then Red Stag Fiber. These will definitely go on my, I have a banner, a enamel pin banner that is for like local yarn store and yarny shop, like shop things, or business, like, well, let's say event / dyer or business / shop, LYS. And this will go up there. Like my Modern Skein pin is up there, so these will join them for sure. Okay, so the Modern Skein, I got this sweater quantity, which doesn't seem like a sweater quantity, but when everything is cropped, almost anything turns into a sweater quantity. She has Life in the Long Grass, which was my, I guess, one of my very first times seeing it in person. And certainly with the color quantities that she had. She had so many colors. Like their entire spring line, I think. This color is called Terracotta, and this one is called Wheat. And this is going to be a sapila, a cropped sapila. So that's going to be beautiful. Okay, this is just going to be the longest podcast ever, which means so much editing. I need to talk fast. I also got at the Modern Skein, I already have put away one. I stashed away one skein, but she carries Ching fiber, which is like the only place anywhere near me that carries it. Maybe the only place in Texas. But I had to get 2 skeins of the Suri, melted baby Suri, because it's amazing. So I wound up one of them, and this looks like, I had some friends yesterday say that it looked like I put a watercolor filter on the yarn, and it absolutely does look like that. Like my camera doesn't even know what to do with it. It's like, what the heck? that's not a filter, that's the yarn, and the camera is focused. This is it in the skein. This is the Balala color, B-A-L-A-L-A, or Balala, I don't know, doesn't matter. So this, I had purchased a skein of hedgehog fibers in the Suri colorway, which is a hot pink with lots of speckles. And my intent is to make my chrysalis shawl, which Sharon has 2 samples of in her shop. It's gorgeous. It's by Lavanya Patricella. I've looked at this for a really long time. And like ever since Sharon started knitting it, I was like, oh my gosh, that looks amazing. And I just really wanted, it's like the perfect way to try this yarn. I also wanted to see how it compares to the Suri alpaca silk base that is available to a lot of indie dyers now. What I can tell you right now at first glance is that number 1, the melted baby Suri from Ching has a merino in here as well. So it's alpaca, merino, and nylon, or no, alpaca, merino, silk. And what I have like available to me and a lot of the other indie dyers, there is no merino in it. So it's alpaca and silk only. So you're missing the merino content, which, I mean, that it's like 20% merino. So it definitely contributes something. The other thing is that this yarn is definitely thicker. I don't have the other one here to compare, but like it's just fluffier. These little tufts that sort of stick out of the yarn, they're just thicker and tuftier. So there's my unofficial comparison. But it is so, and I normally cannot do alpaca, and this is so soft, you guys. It's amazing. So like I said, I was going to pair the My Chrysalis shawl. I mean the Suri from Hedgehog. Because when you look at this shawl, I feel like you see a mint colored shawl with an accent color. The mint is the alpaca, the melted Suri. So I knew that this would be the color of the shawl, like this is most of what the shawl is. And I thought, oh, okay, that'd be pretty to have like some hot pink accents in there. But then I got home and I found this skein of yarn in my stash. This was a club color from sometime late last year. And I think this is a better choice. So this club color from Hedgehog is called Chaos. And I think I like this better. So that's my plan for that. That's what I got at the Modern Skein. Y'all, it's been crazy. It's like I didn't buy yarn or anything for months, and then all of a sudden I just like went off the deep end. I purchased this bag, a really large project bag from Birch Grove in Canada. She is another one of my very favorite bag makers that I love to purchase from because I love her fabrics that she chooses. And this is one of the shawl sized ones, so I've never had one of her larger ones. I've only ever had her smaller sock sized bags. And I just really, really, really like this size and style. I love her as a maker as well. So that is very pretty. Got that. And then I purchased some yarn from Teeny Button Studio. I purchased this, I don't know, maybe a week before Mardi Gras, and I know that was pushing it, but unfortunately I didn't get it until like late last week, several days after Mardi Gras. I was hoping to be able to knit this on Mardi Gras because Of course you would decide to do that, you know, 6 days before the day of the event. I'm ridiculous. But I love how she dyes. This one is so fun. This one's called Throw Me Something, Mister. On her soft sock base, it's a 7525 teeny button studio. And then this one is called Ghost Tour, same base. And I thought that I would do like the main sock out of this and then maybe heels and toes out of that. This one's so pretty. Definitely Ghost Tour, like ethereal looking. So I think that's a fun name. So I got those. And that is it. So much stuff. Okay. Big things that I need to talk about. So I have this amazing friend named Hohi Locatelli. And she used my yarn in Interpretation 6. The angels were singing. Oh my gosh. So if you follow me on Instagram, you have already seen me go crazy over this yesterday. But this is the Evolve shawl. I did not knit this. One of my amazing friends, Jenny, knit this as a sample for me. This is Evolve. It is a very, oh my gosh, I almost dipped the end of this in the coffee. Oh, which would kind of be like perfect since I know Hohi is a fellow caffeinated gal. So it starts off at this point right here and you increase, and the texture on here is, oh my gosh. Seriously, sorry, that was my knee hitting the tripod. So the texture is what you have to see. Can you see it? I don't know. It's like this moving stitches that look like cables, but they're not cables. It's just stunning, you guys. And so then it fades. So this is Rorschach, which is white with black speckles. Then it fades into Cinder. And I say fades, it is very like color blockish, kind of striped, color blocked. Fades into Cinder, which is a gray with dark charcoal speckles. And this texture repeats throughout. And then that fades into Coal. Again, with striping and speckles. And then this lacy, cable-y texture, like I said, repeats throughout the whole shawl. I'm trying to get to where you can see it there. You can't really see it in the dark section as much, but it's just this undulating, beautiful texture. Oh my gosh. Jenny said it was amazing to knit and so fun and addicting. She knit it like lickety split, and I don't know if that was because she was trying to get it to me or if it was really that quick and addicting. I think it was just that quick and addicting and amazing. So I have pre-orders for sets of this yarn in the shop right now. We are looking at a mid-April delivery time because we're only a couple of weeks away before I leave for DFW, and so timing-wise, it will need to be shipping after DFW. But I am bringing kits for this shawl to DFW, as well as the shawl itself, of course. So you'll be able to see the sample there. I am still perfecting the styling. Maybe that's the screenshot. I'm still perfecting the styling of this thing. I don't really know that I'm the best at it yet, but I will get there. I end up just sort of like finding two ends and sort of tying them and then making the middle part just sort of work. So I just love this. Oh my gosh. So I like that it's like asymmetrical for the wearing of it. Anyway, so that is Evolve. Thank you, Hohi and Vera. Thank you, Yana, for taking some of the most breathtaking photos of my yarn that exist in the world anywhere. I'm in awe of all three of your talents, and it is just like when you sit back in a part, I'm gonna really try not to get emotional. When you sit back in a different part of the world than any of these three ladies, all three of them live in different countries, different sides of the equator, different halves of the world, and then I'm over here in the US. And to see all of these little pieces and details come together, and it's just amazing, right? Like when I started knitting 6 or 7 years ago, never in my wildest dreams would I think that I would even meet half of these people, let alone become very good friends with them and travel and experience life together. And so it's truly an honor. And I didn't mean to get this emotional or gushy about this, but like it is just so truly amazing how this community is and how completely transformed my life is because of knitting and because of our community. So thank you all. Like, my yarn is in interpretations. That's absolutely amazing. So thank you. What else? Oh, and speaking of interpretations, because you all know I'm the best and most reliable failed test knitter ever, I actually did half test knit a shawl, which I say that because I'm pretty sure at this point Hohi and Vera both know that if I'm test knitting something, it's just because they're being kind. Truly. So I started, and what is it called? I can't even remember what it is called. I'm the worst. Oh my gosh, I'm the worst. Understated. It's the DK weight V-neck boxy that Hohi has in interpretations. And so I started it. I did all the hard parts. I test knit a sleeve, which I have to reknit because literally this sleeve would not even fit one of my children. Like, I don't know what happened. It's way too small. I need to just pick up more stitches and make it work. So yeah, but I test knit the V-neck portion. I picked up the collar. It all looks great. I think the reason that I stalled out is because I had to add a new ball of yarn because I'm, again, one of those weirdos that like rotates yarn even on the sleeve. You guys, this is so small. Like this barely fits over my hand. Why do I think that's going to fit over this bicep? Whatever. Okay. So I had to add in a new ball of yarn here, and I know that's kind of why this sat for a little while. This is in my DK weight base in the salted caramel color, and this is kind of an off color of salted caramel. It's a little bit red. It's like the brown with a little more red than what I would consider the standard, which I think is why I kept this sweater quantity for myself. So yeah, so that is understated. That's not done. The thing I love about it is the top has this ribbing up at the top here. And then of course it's the dropped, big oversized drop sleeve that we all know and love. Maybe I just need to try it on since this really only has to fit right above the elbow. I don't know. I still think it's too small. Looking at it. Considering I can go here all the way up to here and there is I don't think there's any hope of me being able to do that with this sleeve. Let's just do it live on the camera to just completely potentially, oh yeah, no way. Yeah, that just got too small. Anyway, doesn't matter. Why are we talking about it? Understated. That needs to be finished. I love you, Howie. I just cried about you 5 minutes ago, and now I'm hoping you still love me, even though I'm the worst finisher ever. So yes. So yesterday, the digital copies are on Ravelry. You can download the digital copy, and then books release next week as part of a big launch at EYF, Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and you can purchase the books directly from Pom Pom or from your favorite local yarn store. And I also want to say thank you so much to Pom Pom Press. They are sending me a copy of the book, which is so generous and lovely. And thank you so much to the ladies at Pom Pom and Howie and Vera again for letting me be just the absolute tiniest part of this amazing book. Okay, I think that's it. Shop update news is that we have Evolve kits in the shop. DFW is coming in 2 weeks, and I'm dyeing yarn like a maniac. Park Passport will ship beginning of next week for March. It's amazing. Oh my gosh, you guys are gonna die when you see the color. It's so good. So I hope y'all are having fun doing that. Thank you. And I will see you hopefully next week, but for sure I will see you soon. Bye.